Hello, I am the Gentlemanly Gamer, and welcome to the Undisputed Nerds YouTube channel. You're about to watch a clip from our podcast, which we do every week, and you can find on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all of your other favourite podcast platforms. Don't forget to leave us a like and a subscribe on the YouTube channel if you haven't already, and we hope you enjoy the clip. I'll be touching upon this week's tips and bits, Zane.
Bits, tips and bits. Come on, everybody, it's tips and bits. There you go.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Yes, we've happened again. So normally I segment tips and bits into three parts. We've got Marvel, we've got DC, and we've got miscellaneous. Three, not four, three. The three horsemen.
Three.
So Zane, I always give you the choice. What do you want first, Marvel, DC, or Misk?
Can I start with some DC, please?
You can. I've only got the one DC story this week that was of real note to me. However, so hold on to your absolute balls with this, Zane, because I have a feeling this might excite you possibly even more than Batfleck. So, DC's League of Super Pets, the animated movie, is coming out soon.
Yes.
And one of the voices of the Super Pets, the voice of the Batman Super Pet, is Keanu Reeves. And he has been interviewed this week in relation to that. It was a fascinating interview. So it was part of the interview with Extra.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves has said he'd like to play Batman in live action, Zane.
Wow.
So he wrote, "It's always been a dream." Oh, sorry, he said, "It's always been a dream. Pattinson's got Batman right now, and he's doing an awesome job. But maybe down the road, maybe when they need an older Batman."
Hey,
would you like to see an old Batman played by Keanu Reeves? Because I really would.
Yeah. So, in Super Pets, I think isn't Kevin Hart his dog, and he plays as Bruce Wayne as Batman in this. Like he's
yes,
yes.
Sorry.
So
yes.
So the crazy thing is, and I distinctly remember this as a kid because I thought it'd be amazing. Let me take you back to 1999, 2000, sort of. X-Men has just come out.
It's the Attitude Era. I'm feeling it. Yep.
Yeah. You're there.
Yeah.
So there was rumors going around that.
Oh, it's the Phantom Menace. Oh no, it's not as good as I was expecting it to be. Oh no. All right, yeah, I'm back there. Go on.
Okay. So yeah, there was rumors that they would do a Batman Beyond movie starring Keanu Reeves riding high off his Matrix.
Oh really?
Yeah. And they were thinking of having Clint Eastwood as the old Bruce Wayne.
That's interesting because I remember hearing a rumor from those days where instead of doing so after Batman and then Batman Returns, then when it was discovered that Keaton wasn't coming back and neither was Tim Burton, there was an idea rolled around that Batman Forever was actually going to be old man Batman taking on his final foe, which was the Scarecrow, and it was going to be Clint Eastwood being Batman at the end of his final battle, basically. And I know that rumor flew around for a long time until eventually Schumacher came on board, and then it was like, oh no, I'm going to make it like the '60s show, and it was what it was. But yeah, that was a very serious rumor of as far as I would love to see. I think they should fight if they don't get Keaton back for Bruce Wayne as far as a Batman Beyond movie is concerned. Get Keanu Reeves as old grumpy Bruce Wayne. That would be fantastic, wouldn't it? That would be great.
Yeah. Or even as dare I say, an old Dick Grayson?
Oh, I like that. Oh,
yeah.
I like that. Yeah. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you could have him as Dick Grayson and Keaton as Batman.
Yeah. Yeah, that could work.
They're both alive in the Beyond universe, so Dick Grayson's lost an eye, so he'd have to wear an eye patch. But apart from that, you could do it. Yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, So yeah, I think we are Undisputed Nerds. We both signed up to that. See Keanu Reeves in the DC universe as Batman in some form. Isn't he supposed to be in? He's in Marvel as well. Like he's been signed on for something in Marvel, but we don't know what it is yet.
Did he sign on?
Pretty sure he's supposed to. Well, he's had serious conversations with them.
Yeah, because he's been fan cast a lot as Ghost Rider, hasn't he?
Yes. Although there was a report this week, I'm not going to talk about it in the news. There's been a lot of casting news come out this week, a lot of it. I'm going to touch on two of them, but so we'll run through that next. Actually, do you want to swap over to Marvel, because there's been a lot of Marvel casting news.
Let's jump over to the Marvel side.
Okay, so I'll go through some of the castings. So there's been what I would say two major rumors coming out of this week, and two confirmed mysterious roles for non-major actors, right? Okay. So Deadline have reported that blind spotting actor Rafael Casal, who I recognize but I don't know him from anything, he's been cast as a mysterious major role in Loki season 2. Rumor is that he's playing Zaniac, possibly, who's he's a bad guy, basically, time traveling doodah. Fits in with the I don't know him that well, but yeah, it's that jazz, all that kind of thing. But yeah, the guy's been in Are You Afraid of the Dark, Good Lord Bird, and Bad Education. He's kind of been in a lot of small screen things. He's got, like, again, it's one of those faces where if you see him, you'll know him. So he's been cast in Loki. Cool. As the first kind of bit of small news that's confirmed. This one is slightly bigger, but still kind of, I would argue, small screen. So Adam Scott, he is an actor who's appeared in Severance. He's also in Parks and Rec as Ben in Parks and Rec, Leslie Knope's love interest. He's also been in Step Brothers. He's a very famous, again, one of those faces, when you see him, you'll know him. But he's been in a lot of things. He was on Saturday Night Live, I think, for a period of time as well. He's a very famous comedic actor, been in lots of different things. He's been cast in the movie, one of the movies that we're all looking forward to and all excited for. It's Sony Pictures' Madam Web movie.
Okay.
So he will be in that. That's confirmed. Non-confirmed rumors from this week are Ryan Gosling has been rumored for a long time to be Nova in the MCU. He has since debunked that. But he has said he is extremely interested in playing Ghost Rider.
What?
Yes, I could see him as Johnny Blaze, man. Ryan Gosling has said that he would love to be Ghost Rider, which I can see that, man. I really can. Johnny Blaze Ghost Rider, I could totally see it. But yeah, the other rumor that came out of this week, as far as speculation casting. I'm trying to remember the source. I think it was Deadline again. Javier Bardem has apparently been secretly cast as the next major MCU villain, a la Thanos. So we all thought it was Jonathan Majors and Kang. Yeah. But apparently Javier Bardem is playing the big bad, the big bad in the MCU coming up, which suggests that maybe we've been barking up the wrong tree when it comes to multiversal time travel stuff. Some people were theorizing that maybe he's being cast as possibly Mr. Sinister, but I don't see him as being a big bad in the MCU. Yeah. My speculation, if that's true, if that rumor is true, he is going to be playing somebody like possibly Galactus. Maybe he's the actual voice acting or appearance of Galactus, or Annihilus, or someone like that, someone multiversal, because obviously Annihilus is from the Negative Zone. But yeah,
can I throw one out?
Yes, go.
Just thinking back to recent rumors, what about him as Doctor Doom?
That's the other rumor. That was the other rumor. That was it. That was the other person that they were saying maybe he could be that. Yeah. I'd love to see him.
I get goosebumps thinking about that, actually.
Yeah, it's great, right? It's really good.
Yeah.
So yeah, apparently that's what's been going on. Those are the rumors for two confirmed and two big rumors as far as kind of like casting is concerned.
So
I can see
Yeah,
both of those playing off. Like, Doctor Doom, Javier Bardem. I'd love that. It'd be great.
I'm unsure about the Ryan Gosling as a Ghost Rider, but
I think he'd be really good. I really do.
yeah, one thing I wanted to throw in there, because of course I watch a lot of TikTok because I'm so hip and young. But
Right, you're down with the kids.
I saw on TikTok that apparently the San Diego Comic Con announcements have been leaked, and one of those, which is supposed to be the announcement of Marvel characters, which include an actor from Top Gun, potentially could be Cyclops. He plays as the rival, not the modern Iceman. I haven't seen Top Gun, so I can't
Miles
say.
Teller, do you mean?
No, not Miles Teller. He's I'll Google it. Don't worry.
You sure it's not Miles Teller? Because Miles Teller's in the new Top Gun as the rival.
Yeah, there's another guy. I think he's called the Hangman.
Oh right, okay.
Talk
amongst yourselves, guys, as he's looking up. God, it'd be hilarious if they put Miles Teller into the MCU though. After the debacle that was Fantastic Four, that would be amazing.
Jake Cineris. I'll get an image.
Hang on, Jake. Wait, it's not Jake Sinise, is it?
Sinise, maybe.
Hang on. Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
Let's have a quick look, guys. Let's have a look at this so-called fella malad.
This guy right here.
Glenn Powell, you mean? Glenn Powell is his name. Jake Saracen is his name in the show, in the film. Yeah, Glenn Powell is the actor. Interesting.
Rumor is he could be Cyclops.
Oh yeah, I can see that. Yes, I can see that.
And the other big rumor is Anthony Starr as Dracula against Blade.
Shut the front door. There's no way. There's no way Anthony Starr's going to be Dracula. Get out of here. Are you kidding me? That's amazing.
That's the rumor.
For those of you who don't know who Anthony Starr is, that's Homelander from The Boys. Maybe. I don't know about that one. But yes, I could potentially see it. He's sinister enough. All right. Do you want to carry on with the Marvel news anyway? There's a lot of casting. We'll find out more at San Diego. I'm sure it's coming up very soon. So we'll get more. We should probably do an episode on the San Diego Comic-Con, shouldn't we?
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Do some hot tips and bits straight off for San Diego. All right, so moving forward with some Marvel news. So one of the Deadpool writers has been having a yap. Rhett Reese has been discussing film, and he was talking about basically writing Deadpool and the production and how it's been going, and also the kind of involvement that Marvel have had, because obviously we do know that Marvel have their Marvel police who like to come along and keep an eye on things. So I'm just going to read out this quote that he put as far as discussing film is concerned. It's almost like putting on a comfy old sweater. Marvel's really given us the support to maintain the tone and the vision that we have for it. They've been very hands-off and supportive, but they've also let us do what we do. So really, it's just been fun. We're mad scientists back in the lab again. Deadpool is our favourite, who will always be the character I think we're most associated with, and we're very grateful for being allowed to write him again. So it's a blast. It's like going back to school again after having summer off. It's pretty fun. So, your thoughts on Marvel leaving Deadpool 3 alone so that they can do what they do? Do you think this is a very good thing, and it will allow the spirit of the character that was created in the Fox universe to stay alive?
Yes, to answer that question. It'll be interesting to see. I know we've speculated this before on the podcast, but it'd be interesting to see if Deadpool's going to be the door to more age sort of...
You almost said hardcore then, didn't you?
I did, yeah, but I thought that'd be...
X-rated movies.
More adult themed movies.
rated M or rated M movies, basically mature movies.
Yeah, like your 16s or 18s.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you don't need much to make. Yeah, a 16, I'd say, like, would be perfectly fine.
That's the equivalent of 15 over here, basically, which is what the BBFC limits are. We've got weird BBFC limits. Like, we've got really weird limits, man. Like, honestly,
What's a 13A? Sounds like an instruction manual. Like,
that's not ours, is it?
I think
12A.
so.
No, 12A.
Is it 12A?
It goes, yeah, it's weird. We've got Universal, which is everyone. Everyone can watch. We've got PG, which is parental guidance. Then it goes to 12 and also 12A. So 12 is like you have to be 12 or older.
Mm-hmm.
And then 12A is you can come if you're under 12, but you've got to be accompanied by an adult.
Yeah.
And then it's 15, and then it's 18, and then it's like unclassified because you shouldn't, it's like basically banned. You shouldn't watch it.
Yeah.
But like, I went to see Elvis, the Elvis film, a couple of weeks ago, and there were like 4-year-olds in there, and the film is rated 12A, and I'm like, these kids should not be here at all for this. I'm sorry. Like, you know, Elvis taking drugs and like, you know,
I was gonna say, does he
going
do hardcore?
Yeah, well, yeah, they
Hardcore
don't
drugs.
show it, but they don't show it. But like, he does have a steady decline of problems, you know, and it's just
Right,
like,
yeah.
okay, all right, cool. So yeah, I don't know, I don't get it, but no, I'm excited for Deadpool 3, man. I can't wait to see what they do, especially if they make fun of the MCU in a way, you know, like talking about Eternals and stuff like that. That'll be hilarious. But yeah, I'm gonna wind back to when we talk about Ms. Marvel. There's some stuff in this that we could talk about in terms of kind of wider scope of things, because it is interesting where they've gone with it. And yeah, Screen Crush had a great shout out to Screen Crush, the YouTube channel. They had an amazing breakdown of where they think Phase 4 is going. With so we'll talk about it later, but yeah, it was very good. It was very good. So moving forward, coming away from Deadpool, Fantastic Four. So this is the last bit of Marvel news I've got this week, and I'm sure you've heard this already, Zane, but this is absolutely wild if this rumor is true. There is a rumor running around that the director of Fantastic Four, the person who is being courted to direct Fantastic Four, is none other than Steven Spielberg.
That's wild. Like, now there's no confirmation this is true at this stage. But that's a wild idea. Yeah.
Well, before you dismiss it, there's been several very, very reliable sources, or at least semi-reliable scoopers, that have alluded to the story. Nobody's ready to report on it outright just yet, but
Really?
There's been confirmation that Feige has been talking to Spielberg about the possibility of directing a future MCU project. So there have been actual discussions between Feige and Spielberg. So this isn't actually as outside the realms of possibility as you think, especially considering Sam Raimi just did Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So,
but I guess the thing is, though, like, we know Sam Raimi loves Spider-Man. Like, we know he loves Doctor Strange because it's mentioned in his movies. Like, that wasn't such a wild leap. It was celebrated. Like, it's one of those things. But it's kind of like, oh my god, like the godfather of like science fiction movies, like PG science fiction movies of the 90s and 80s. Like, that's wild.
All I'm going to say to you is, yeah, you say that. He is responsible for Indiana Jones. Like, he brought Indiana Jones to the cinema with George Lucas. He was supposed to direct Star Wars Return of the Jedi. He was supposed to direct that, and he had to drop out. Yeah, he was supposed to. That's why they've got this unknown Welsh director in at the last minute, because he was supposed to direct. Like, the original plan was that George Lucas was going to direct the first one. Guy who I've forgotten the name of, who did direct Empire Strikes Back, was always supposed to direct Empire Strikes Back because he part wrote it. And then George wanted his best friend to direct Return of the Jedi, and it was going to bring in Steven Spielberg, who was his best friend, to direct Return of the Jedi. And then I think it was E.T. or something that he was making at the time. There was a scheduling conflict, which meant that he couldn't do it, and he had to back out of the project. which is why the director of Return of the Jedi, who again, he's a Welsh guy, I can't remember what his name is. He has done some other good films, but he came in at the very last minute to fill in for Spielberg, but he was supposed to direct Return of the Jedi. So you think about all this stuff. It's like Spielberg said he does enjoy comic book movies, like he does enjoy them, and he's never directed one. Think about that. From he is a director who has done basically every type of genre under the sun.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about some of the movies that he's done, Jaws, Indiana Jones, Schindler's List. But like, think about how much of a broad spectrum, Jurassic Park. Think about what a broad spectrum of movies he's done. He's never done a comic book movie, to the best of my knowledge. So like, maybe he's thinking, I need to scratch that itch and do one. And like, what better way than the first family of Marvel?
It makes sense in so many ways. It's kind of like, how do I say this? Like he was long rumored to do a Halo movie at one point.
Okay. We can talk about Halo in a minute. Go on.
But yeah, it's kind of like he's also a producer on the Transformers franchise as well, isn't he? Well, I know he was on the first one.
Yeah.
But there's that. And did he have some involvement with Super 8?
Yeah. He directed, didn't he?
Not JJ.
Oh no, JJ directed it. You're right. He was a producer on it. You're right. I always get that confused. I always get it confused. Yes, JJ directed it, and he was the producer. Not JJ was the producer, and he directed it. I never remember which way around it is. It's one of those way arounds. But yes, he was involved in Super 8. Yeah, you're right. Because that's, I guess, but there you go. I mean, he's like, it's obvious he is wanting to dabble in that world. So maybe it is Fantastic Four that's going to do it. I don't know. If they basically say to him, here's a budget, here's the story that we need to kind of tell to advance our universe. Other than that, do what you want. I mean, if there's anybody who's going to salvage Fantastic Four from the wreckage that it's been left in by what's his name, Trevor Rowe, then it's going to be Steven Spielberg, isn't it? So
Well, I mean, personally, I would probably say Brad Bird. Like, that would be possibly.
You're only saying that because he did Incredibles. That's the only reason you're saying Brad Bird.
Yeah,
I will say,
and the Iron Giant, which I think is like incredible.
Which I think didn't Spielberg produce that? I think he did. All I'm going to say when it comes to Incredibles, okay, hands down, The Incredibles is one of the greatest comic book films of all time. Without being an actual comic book, it is phenomenal. I adore The Incredibles, and the second one. The second one's really good as well. I love both of them. I will say, having a computer-generated animated movie is very different from a live-action movie. Yeah, I don't know if Brad Bird would be able to translate it as well without having the same ideas that he had for the animated movie, and then people going, "Oh, you're just copying The Incredibles."
But I wrote.
Yeah, I know. I know. I think I'm not advocating for Spielberg to direct. I don't have any preference really. But if he's going to direct a Marvel film, then yes, something like the Fantastic Four would be amazing, I think.
Yeah, agreed. 100%.
Cool. Well, that's all the Marvel news. We've got 2 bits of miscellaneous news that I thought were quite interesting to bring up. So I'm just gonna give them to you because you've got no choices left, Zane. That's it. So, Zane, have you ever played Knights of the Old Republic?
Not really.
Have you ever played Mass Effect?
Yes. Okay.
So the same writer who wrote Mass Effect is the same writer who wrote Knights of the Old Republic.
Oh, cool.
Drew Karpyshyn. He's written a lot of Star Wars lore, a lot of Star Wars legacy books. He's responsible for writing my favorite ever story, which is the Darth Bane trilogy of books, which I want brought to the screen. There was recently a Reddit AMA with him, and it was interesting because somebody asked him, bearing in mind they're remaking Knights of the Old Republic, they're doing it again for the PlayStation 5. The one PlayStation exclusive that I'm actually super jealous of. But anyway, during this Reddit AMA, somebody asked him about whether or not they think they should make a Knights of the Old Republic movie, and he was extremely frank in his response. And he said the following: I don't want them to make a Knights of the Republic film or a Mass Effect film, not if those films are just going to tell the same story as the games. Branching narrative games tell stories in a different way than a linear medium like film, and we have so much content that you'd have to cut like 80% of the story just to fit into the film. Maybe it could work as a television series, but even then I think it would be problematic. I tried one time to tell a game story in one of my novels, The Throne of Bahal, and I vowed I would never do it again. It never works well, but if they knock on my door and drop a fat sack of cash on my front step, I'll probably change my tune. Now, the reason why I bring this up is two reasons. Firstly, I agree with his opinion on this very, very much. I think it's very hard to translate games into film.
Yeah.
Secondly, you mentioned the Halo movie when we were talking about Spielberg, and Halo has just been transferred into a Paramount TV series, which is now on Paramount Plus. What are your thoughts on computer games being converted into television and film? Bearing in mind, we've also mentioned the Resident Evil side of stuff.
That's true.
And the idea that they say the same stories. Do you think it should be the same stories or potentially using different IPs? What's your take on this, Zane? I was just curious to know what you think of it.
So how do I explain my thoughts?
I don't know. Use your words. That's a good idea.
I'm going to try. So I think here's the tricky part. He's right in the sense of the transfer across it's not easy at all because, let's take, for example, some of the AAA titles that are either 40 or 60 hours of story. You can't condense that in a 2-hour movie. There's just no way. But I would like to see those adaptations, and I would like to see, as terrible as it sounds, I would like to see carbon copy adaptations because, for example, I never got to experience Knights of the Old Republic back on the PS1 and stuff. I didn't have a PS1, but it was on Xbox actually, but never mind. I didn't have an Xbox either.
I know.
I got a PS2.
It was the original.
So, yeah.
It was one of the original Xbox exclusives. It was that and Halo, and it was like they were like Knights of the Republic was the RPG to play on the Xbox. It was one of the reasons to buy it, basically. So.
But again, Halo's another example. I didn't play the first Halo.
Oh wow!
Till it, eventually. Well, not so much eventually, but until there was came to PC and stuff. Right. So. I played like Halo 3 and because I had an Xbox 360 by then, but it's just one of those things. And it's like everyone, but there's so many great stories in games that again I haven't experienced, and if I haven't experienced them, there's going to be masses of people that have never seen those stories. We talk about Metal Gear Solid off stream quite a lot.
Oh, man. Yeah,
and I absolutely adore that story. Go
on. Go on.
Just to finish off what I was going to say, I kind of excited the idea of it being a movie, but something like the Assassin's Creed movie, which starred Michael Fassbender, was.
Why are you pronouncing his name like that? Fassbender. Fassbender. Where have you got that from? I know he's half German, but that was weird.
Maybe because
Michael Fassbender, yeah. Fassbender, mate.
Fassbender.
Yes, exactly. Fassbender. Yes, I know what you mean.
Movie is a jank.
It's atrocious, yeah. This is the tricky thing, right? I agree with Drew Karpushin, Drew, friend of the show. I agree with him 100% that if you were to try and translate Knights of the Old Republic from the game into the film, it wouldn't work. And the reason why it wouldn't work is that RPGs are designed to be a sprawling role-playing game where you take on the identity of almost a template protagonist and then make it your own. So whilst the idea that, spoiler alert for a game that is now 20 years old, but the fact that halfway through the game, you find out that this Dark Lord of the Sith, Revan, who you have been hearing about all this time, and how much of a nightmare he was, and how much of a badass he was, and how he basically caused the Jedi Civil War. The fact that you find out that's you halfway through is unbelievable, and it's incredible, and it was one of the biggest plot twists ever, and it's amazing. But the point is that in order to find out that plot twist and in order to understand completely what was going on, there's a multitude of other characters that are built into that game, like Bastila, like Karth. They're all contributing, and they all have their own individual stories to tell. And you're not going to be able to do that in an hour and a half piece of cinema. Now, if you take the story, and this is what I was talking about with the Resident Evil stuff earlier on, if you take some of the elements of that story and don't copy the game, but repurpose it into something new that uses the same elements of the game, you know, Revan is this Jedi Master fallen to the dark side and then, you know, renews himself with the light or whatever. You know, if you follow the story of Revan without the RPG elements, and then it's just tricky. It's how do you do it? It would make much more sense if they adapt some of his books, like, because he's, like I said, he's written a bunch of books about solo protagonists where, you know, the side characters feed into the main plot narrative to, you know, enhance the main character's journey, like Darth Bane. That is a much better story to tell. It's a much better story to tell from book to film instead of games to, because like you said, they're supposed to be 80-hour plus sprawling narratives, and you can't condense that into, you know, an hour and a half without making it weak.
Yeah.
So,
and just to kind of elevate the point you're making, the new Sonic movies, they do exactly that. They take elements and they kind of repurpose them in a whole new way. Like,
what is probably the best computer game movie, arguably, Detective Pikachu, which is almost, you know, it's just all they've done is taken elements of it. Like, that's it. It's great. So yeah, or Free Guy, love Free Guy as well. Anyway, what are your thoughts, guys? I'm very interested to hear people's thoughts on whether or not they think that you can condense down game stories into, you know,
cinematic
films
movies.
and even TV. You know, even TV has its limits, but yeah, in fact, this is often why Marvel adapt stuff from the comics, because it's not necessarily, doesn't work the same way on film.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. This is a humorous story to talk about to round off tips and bits this week on the MISC side. So we can all confirm that you know, one of the greatest shows of all time, with definitely the greatest ending of all time. Can you sense the sarcasm when I say Game of Thrones? Well, George R.R. Martin, the creator of Game of Thrones and slow ass writer of the books, has confirmed via not a blog. He's been spitting his thoughts, Zane, about his writing process for what will be the last book in the series that he was supposed to have written 10 years ago, The Winds of Winter. But he's been so slow to the writing process. The TV show not only over-accelerated and went past it, but then basically finished the story. Well, I'm going to read this direct quote out from Martin, and we'll have a conversation about whether or not you think this is damage control afterwards. Martin's quote is, "What I've noticed more and more of late, however, is that my writing is taking me further and further away from the television series. Yes, some of the things you saw on HBO in Game of Thrones you will also see in The Winds of Winter, though maybe not quite in the same ways, but much of the rest will be quite different. One thing that I can say, in general enough terms that I will not be spoiling anything, is that not all of the characters who survived until the end of Game of Thrones, the TV show, will survive until the end of A Song of Ice and Fire. And not all of the characters who died on Game of Thrones will die in A Song of Ice and Fire."
Oh.
Now, the reason why I bring this up is I don't know whether you were a Game of Thrones fan or not, Zane. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure you were, as were most of the people in the world. But let's just say that the universal trope on this was that everyone hated the ending of it. Really hated it. Very few people liked it. To me, it almost feels like it almost feels like George R.R. Martin doesn't know how to finish his books, and he used the TV show as a beta test for how possibly he might finish the book. And now that he's seen how universally hated it was, he's gone, "Don't worry, my book's going to be totally different to that. It's fine. Khaleesi's going to survive. It's, you're going to love it. She's going to be a good guy. She's going to marry Jon Snow. It's going to be weird and incestuous and horrible, but still, don't worry about it. It'll be fine because it's Game of Thrones." Do you think this is him trying to backtrack out of the room with his book in his hand, or what do you think, Zane?
Yeah, it certainly feels like that, doesn't it? Like hindsight is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
Also, he's still got a book to plug, so if I was him, I would probably do the same thing, because it's kind of like, at the end of the day, I need this book to sell as well as the rest of the 10 books I've written. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
and
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I hated the end. I'm weirdly excited for House of Dragons, the prequel show.
Mhm.
Like I think I've watched the trailer a couple of times now, and I do have a lot of hope that it's going to be good, especially with the actors involved on it. I mean, you've got Paddy Constantine, Matt Smith, Rhys Ifans. It's just, I mean, what a fantastic cast that is. It does make me think of when they cast Sean Bean in Game of Thrones, and it was like the insane gravitas that it brought to it suddenly, where it was like people start to look at it and go, "Oh wow, okay, they've got Sean Bean for this. That must mean it's pretty good." And then it's like, "Oh, we're going to kill him in the first season," but still. But yeah, I'm excited for House of Dragons. I maybe after the book's released, HBO will do a special and go back and refilm the last season of Game of Thrones, but I doubt it. I doubt it. I think that ship has sailed way past now. It's sailed. It's on fire with Dragonfire, and it's crashing into King's Landing. Yeah,
it's such a fascinating world. I think more than anything, like the world was so beautifully written, and the characters within it. Because even things like the Sky Door I thought was amazing. I saw an edit not too long ago about Hodor's journey, like the door thing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I know, it's amazing. I don't know why. In my head, as far as Game of Thrones is concerned, we'll talk about this quickly before we go into Miss Marvel. It was always a very cyclical thing, so it worked in a cycle, and it seemed very apparent where the story was going, and it was like it made so much sense, because when you read about the Targaryens, or when you read about what they were like, heard about them on the show, and why they were so crazy, they were born of dragons. They only had sex with their family members, which made them incestuous, which made them crazy, which is why the uprising needed to happen by Robert Baratheon. And all this stuff happened. I mean, obviously there was more to it than that. For people who want to complain to me that that's not the whole reason why, I know it's not the main reason why. However, the beginning of the show was all about this uprising. And so I thought it would have been an incredibly beautiful thing if George R.R. Martin was telling the story of cycles and how it works, and we go through all of this drama to at the end of it have Jon Snow, a Targaryen blood relative, be married to Daenerys, his aunt, and two Targaryens of incestuous relations sitting on the Iron Throne again. Just basically it ends exactly as it begun.
How it started, yeah. Exactly.
And they wouldn't have even known that they were, you know what I mean? I really thought that's where they were going to go with it. And then they didn't. They just made Daenerys go crazy, and it was weird. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. That's rubbish. And then Bran was who wanted Bran as the... can I just point out as well, what I'm gonna use a bad word here, Zane, I'm sorry, but what a dick Bran is, right? He gets the power of the three-eyed raven, and then he just foresees himself as king. What an arse! I have seen that I will have all power in the realm. I'm the three-eyed raven, make it so. The other guy was in a tree for the century. He didn't want to be king. Old Billy Big Balls Bran comes along. He's like, make me king. Yes.
All the bees. Billy Big Bald Bran.
Billy Big Bald Bran. That's his king name. That's what they call him on the throne. All hail King Billy Big Balls Bran. Anyway, I didn't like it, Zane. I didn't like it. So many things with Game of Thrones.
Do you think each bee is for each eye? This is
Billy Big Balls Bran. Oh no, he's got 4. Where's his 4th? Don't answer that. Anyway, yes, Game of Thrones. How divisive it is, but
What a time.
We all love it. We all love it.
Mm.
Anyway, that's all my tips and bits for this week, buddy. So.